Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the winter and spring edition of Krown Countdown U and Krown Canada West Countdown U. We have all the action from Canada West hockey and basketball, but we'll kick off this week's show with big news coming out of OUA football. Western Mustangs star quarterback Will Finch is leaving football. The fourth-year pivot suffered his third concussion of his career this past season and has decided to retire early, foregoing his fifth and final year as the Mustangs starting quarterback. Finch was selected the OUA's most valuable player in 2015. Manitoba's David Yamada, Calgary's Sean McEwen, and Laval's Charles Vaillancourt represented the CIS at the annual East-West Shrine Game in St. Petersburg, Florida. The annual game showcases some of the top prospects available for the NFL draft. Yamada shone in the game for the West, registering a sack in the West 29-9 win over McEwen and Vaillancourt's team. Now, speaking of Yamada, the Manitoba Bison's D lineman has been turning not only the heads of CFL scouts, but as you will see in this week's edition of Campus Corner, he is also getting the attention of those south of the border.
I'm from Lagos, Nigeria. I came here in 2011. I'd seen like a couple of CFL games on the TV and all that, but once that was done, I walked into Cordovi's office and the whole thing just went from there.
When David Yamada arrived at my door, I was on the phone, and I kind of glanced to my left and sort of took a second take and thought, oh, please let this be a football player.
David Yamada should be a household name in just a few short months. He just finished playing his fourth season as a defensive lineman on the Manitoba Bison's football team and is a top-ranked CFL prospect with a good chance of playing in the NFL. Perhaps the most interesting part of his story is the first time he ever played football was right here at the University of Manitoba.
He'd never seen a football before he stepped on our field. Now the bad news about that is he literally knew nothing. He didn't know the rules of the game. He didn't know how to play the game. He didn't know any fundamentals.
Just getting used to the stats took me like pretty much a whole year to get used to that, but once that was like done, the season after that, I got the opportunity to start, and ever since then, it's just been going up, I guess, yeah.
One of the most humble guys in this locker room, for sure. One of the most humble guys I know. His own story, what he's created for himself. A lot of people could start boasting about that, start bragging about it, start walking around with kind of, bigger shoulders, more broad shoulders, but he's been the guy that does all his work behind the scenes, and, now he's finally getting some recognition for it, and it's nice to see.
I was away from home, being like an 18-year-old, like, being 1,000 miles away from home, it took control in the mind, I guess. So sometimes just called my mom, like talk to her about it, but she just told me to hang in there, just stay back. So
he learned from both sides of the ball, and he learned the right way, and he learned how to learn. That was a big part of it. He didn't take anything for granted.
This season, David Yamada won the prestigious J.P. Metros Trophy for Outstanding Down Lineman in the CIS after starting from nothing just 5 short years ago. He was selected to participate in the East-West Shrine Game in Florida this January, which is a top game for NFL scouts and prospects. The award winner is only one of 3 Canadians to attend this game this year.
Going out there representing Canada, representing CIS, and all the good players in the CIS, it's a honor. Like, it's pretty good.
He's generated so much look, so much interest from both standpoints. From the CFL standpoint, where he's a second-ranked player, I believe, right now by the CFL Scouting Bureau, but I really think we've got a lot of NFL calls. So I think that there's a real serious interest of David by a number of NFL teams, and hopefully whatever happens is going to happen. But I think there's good things on the way for David Onyemata.
A man who never saw a football game until he turned 18 is now a prospect in the CFL and NFL drafts this coming spring.
There's no question David Onyemata is going to be a professional football player. There's no question. It's a matter of which league and which team.
Image of me 10 years from now, just being old and just chilling, I guess. But just going out there, like getting out of the tunnel, like going out there playing in front of people, like that's always the fun part of it. Yeah.
So, will David Onyemata play in the 60,000-seat super stadiums of the NFL, or will it be right here where he learned to play the game? For Campus Corner, I'm Chris Zook.
The Regina Rams announced that Mark Makki, Canada West's all-time leading receiver, will serve as the acting head coach while the program finds a replacement for the one-and-done Mike Gibson. Makki, a former Rams slotback, has been with the coaching staff since April, where he served as offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach, and academic coach. The Rams have posted the job and have started the process of looking for a new boss. Now, one coaching transition that did not take long was in Sackville. The Mount Allison Mounties promoted defensive coordinator Scott Brady to head coach. Not long after, Kelly Jeffrey left the program to take an assistant's job with the Toronto Argonauts. Earlier, we caught up with Brady via Skype. So Scott, from Vancouver to Oakville to Sackville, and you've made yourself a life in Sackville. Tell me about the road that you've taken to get to Mount Allison and to be a graduate of Mount Allison and now the head coach of the Mounties.
Yeah, I've kind of been all over the country now. Like you said, I was born in Vancouver and moved around a fair bit with my family for my dad's work when we were younger. So lived out in Port Coquitlam and Port Moody in BC, and then grew up mostly in Oakville, Kitchen area when I was younger. Played my high school ball at Iroquois Ridge High School in Oakville. Like a lot of guys in Ontario, kind of always thought that I was going to stay in Ontario and go to university there. And then I had a couple injuries right at the end of my high school career. I broke my hand my senior year of high school and had to kind of take my recruiting into my own hands and start looking around to see what would be available out there and what the best option for me was. And that search kind of led me out east here to Mount A.
You have some turnover, as every team does in the offseason. Do you have the horses on offense to be that aggressive right now? Are you a team in transition?
No, I think we've got some incredible young talent in the program right now, both on offense and defense. I think one of the things I'm excited for about this year is that it's going to look different. There's going to be some new guys out there who have been working their butts off in our program for the last couple of years to develop. And I'm excited for them to get their chance to get out on the field and show what they can do. What's
your opinion on where the AUS needs to go and what its place is in the CIS in terms of football?
I think the AUS is one of the best conferences in the country to come go to school and play football. Like we talked about earlier, I grew up in Ontario. I came out here. The environment out east is it's one that a lot of people are really looking for, and the sense of community out here is incredible. There's a lot of people who, if they're exposed to what the communities, the towns, the universities are like out east, they would absolutely want to come to our schools and play football. It's not just Mount Allison, but a lot of schools out east. You can get an education that rivals anywhere in the country. You're going to be sitting in the smallest classrooms anywhere in the country. Football-wise, we're sending guys to the CFL, NFL every single year. We've been incredibly successful developing guys, and it, for my money, has some of the best coaching in the entire country.
Scott, thanks very much, and best of luck as you take the helm with the Mounties this year.
Thanks a lot, Jim. Appreciate it.
Now, you can catch all of the Brady interview in our January football edition, which is online. Coming up, the Crowchild Classic lives up to its name.
The CFL and our partners at Football Canada want to make sure we keep growing, promoting, and investing in a safe game.
Hit!
Football Canada now requires all amateur coaches to be safe contact trained by 2017. By creating a standard of safety for all in our football community, we're making an already great game even better. Make sure your youth coach is safe contact trained, because making a safe game means making a better game.
Crosstown rivalries are what make university sports great, and a great example is the Crowchild Classic between the Mount Royal Cougars and the Calgary Dinos, which set a CIS attendance record of just under 13,000 at the Saddle Dome last week. Let's take you to the event. Pick up this game in the first period. Cougars defenseman Grant Baker challenges inner Bobby Orr, takes the puck from his own end and goes coast to coast, but Dinos tender Steven Stanford shuts the door to keep the game scoreless. Minutes later, Dinos forward Max Ross plays a little give and go with Kevin King. Ross slips it past Cam Lanigan. It's one bagel for the prehistoric. Still in the first, Cougars get robbed. Blast from the point comes out right on Tanner Olstad's stick, but Stanford gets over to just get a piece of it. Second period, some nice passing from the Cougars, but Stanford is gloving every minute of it, robbing Matthew Brown right on the doorstep. Minutes later, the Cougars solve Stanford. Ross hard on the forecheck, fishes the puck out in front. Matt Bellreeve turns and fires, and it gets past Stanford, and we're all tied up at 1. 60 minutes came and went with the score still tied. In the second overtime, Brown with a nice move, past the defender, but he gets the stick up on Spencer Edwards. That's 2 for high sticking. So on the 4-and-3 power play, the Dinos put this one to bed.
Get some space there for Pierce. Run in the net, they score! Max Ross!
Ross's second of the night is the game winner. Calgary takes the Crowchild Classic, edging Mount Royal 2-1. In Game 2 the next night, Elgin Pierce had 3 points, as the Dinos win both games from the Crosstown Cougars, taking this one 3-1. Max, I know that hockey is hockey, and I know that you've played with Lethbridge in the Western League and played some games out of the Saddle Dome against the Hitmen, but playing these Crowchild Classic games is probably a bit of a different animal. Take me through the process and take me through hitting the ice when you've got 13,000 college fans surrounding you, as opposed to Game 53 in the Western Hockey League on any given year?
I mean, in junior, you're just kind of going from game to game, expecting the same crowds, the same atmosphere, but it's a little bit different here where the 1 to 2 weeks leading up to the Crowchild Classic, we kind of promoted ourselves along with the marketing team here, and it really kind of gets us more involved with the game. And then obviously when you have 7,000 of your own students and peers cheering you on, it's a little bit more exciting.
What is it about you playing against Mount Royal? You got your first hat trick in the Canada West against the Cougars, and then you respond with 2 goals in the Crowchild this year, including an overtime game-winning goal. What is it about playing against guys dressed in blue?
I don't know. Every time we play against them, it's obviously exciting because they're our rivals just down the street, but our coach has given me a pretty decent opportunity to play with some pretty good players on our team, and that obviously helps out a lot too.
You know, when you were on the buses in the Western Hockey League, one of the things that was accruing for you was the Western Hockey League scholarship. Tell me how important that was to have the scholarship support through your first 4 years at the University of Calgary.
Oh, it's tremendous help. I mean, there's lots of students that aren't able to pay for school, and when we're given an opportunity to take that stress away from it so we can focus on our studies and our hockey, it makes things a lot easier. And the transition from taking 3 years off high school, trying to jump right back into university, it's a lot easier.
No, Max, thanks very much for this, and I'm sure you've done plenty of interviews, and probably the most interviews in your career after scoring the game winner in the Crowchild. A great moment for you and the University of Calgary. Thanks very much for this.
Thanks for having me.
Here's a look now at the rest of the action from men's hockey in Canada West. Regina, Alberta. First period, Alberta up 1-0. Stephen Legault sets up Jaden Hart. Hart buries it past Dawson McCauley. That's the game winner. G-Bears take it 4-1. Game 2, second period. Alberta already up 2-0. Stefan Vertanen gets his pocket picked, and Stefan Legault says thank you very much, walks in and buries it behind McCauley. G-Bears take game 2, 5-1. Saski on the west coast to face the T-Birds. Green Dogs on the power play. Cole Baumel gets his 9th of the season to put the visitors up 1-0. Last minute of the frame, and Saski nets another. Levi Cable with the tally, Baumel with the assist. He and Cable both finished with a goal and a helper. Green Dogs take game 1, 2-0. Game 2, Baumel scored twice and added an assist as Saskatchewan extend its win streak to 7 with a 6-2 win over the T-Birds. Mitchell Maxwell and Justin Valentino scored twice for Lethbridge as the Pronghorns take the Bisons by the horns in Game 1. Game 2, Lee Christensen had a goal and a helper as Manitoba snaps a 3-game losing streak, taking this one 4-1. To the big board we go. Saskatchewan continues to roll over its competition. Winners of 7 straight. The Huskies are now 6 points clear of second place Alberta. Here's a look now at the upcoming games in Canada West men's hockey. Over to women's hockey with Mount Royal and Calgary facing off in the women's edition of the Crowchild Classic at the Saddle Dome. A crowd of close to 5,000 taking in this one. First period, Dinos take the first bite. Mary Sorensen cops up the puck below her own goal line. Ia Gavrilova centers in front. Chelsea Court pounces on the wandering puck, fires it into the onion bag. It's 1-0 Dinos. Still in the first, Cougars try to equalize. Gabriel Sepper feeds the slot to a streaking Rachel Pitts, but Haley Dowling makes the stop to keep it 1-0 after 20. Second period, Mount Royal gets on the board. Selena Alexander's harmless shot from the point somehow finds its way past Dowling. That one Dowling would love to have back. Minutes later, Sorensen doing her best Dion Phaneuf impression. Delaney Fry streaks past her and shows off some nice stick handling. A beauty move puts Fry and the Dinos back in front. It is 2-1. For the Cougars, even things up late in the period. Sepper digs it out to Sarah Weniger. She hits a streaking Janessa Jenkins, and we're tied at 2 heading into the final frame. Third period, Mount Royal turn it over at center. Stephanie Zavonkovic feeds Kate Lumley, whose shot gets blocked. Riley Smith takes the puck and fires it short side for the game winner. Calgary win the 2016 Crowchild Classic, taking this one 3-2. Game 2 wasn't quite as close. Ia Gavrilova scored a hat trick, giving her a conference best 15 goals as the Dinos take both games from the crosstown rivals. Alberta, Regina. This goal from Cougars defenseman Alexis Larson midway through the second tied the game at 1. But in the third, Alex Posnikov streaks in and with a beauty dangle pops home the game winner. Pandas take game 1, 2-1. Game 2, game tied at 2 in the third. Cougars on a power play. Blast from the point, bounces off the end boards. Caitlin Dempsey tries to stuff it home. Emma Waldenberger pounces on the rebound and puts it home. That stands up at the game winner. Cougars take it 4-3. Danielle Dubé stopped 25 of the 26 shots she faced as UBC gives Saski their third straight loss. Game 2, Kelly Murray had 3 assists as the T-Birds win their 5th straight, taking down the Huskies 3-1. Lethbridge got a goal and an assist from Sarah Spence as the Pronghorns snap a 4-game losing streak by getting by the Bisons 3-2. And the Pronghorns make it 2 straight, doubling up the herd in Game 2. Amber Yuha's first goal of the season midway through the third stood up as the game winner. Standings time, UBC now hold a 3-point lead over Alberta, while don't look now, but Calgary are winners of 5 straight. Here's a look now at the upcoming games in women's hockey. Time for some hoops. Let's start in Vancouver, where the Regina Cougars were in town to face the Thunderbirds, and a former Vancouver Grizzlies legend was also in attendance. Sharif Abdur-Rahim was in town representing for the NBA All-Star Skills Challenge that took place on the UBC campus earlier Saturday afternoon. UBC took Game 1 the night before, 78-57, so to Game 2 action, the Birds are down by 4 in the second queue. Philip Jalapur with a beauty skip pass to Luka Zaharovic, and the Cougars' lead is cut to just 2. UBC trailed 38-37 at the half, but Alex Igual was lights out from downtown, connecting on 4 of 7 from deep. Regina gets the split, taking the second one by 4. Alberta Brandon picked this one up in the dying seconds of the fourth. Earl Thompson Jr. goes end to end, lays it in to cut the Alberta lead to just 4. On the inbound, Brandon wastes precious time trying to foul. Mamadou Gaye nailed both freebies, and that's the ball game. Alberta takes this 172-65. In Game 2, Colby Jackson scored 10 of his 17 points in the second half, while Gaye led all scorers with 18. G-Bears take both over Brandon. Dinos on the road at Trinity Western. Late second queue, this three-pointer from Vartan Tanielian cut the Dinos' lead to 1, but Calgary outscores the Spartans 63-46 in the second half to cruise to the easy W. Game 2, TWU down by 34 in the third. This dunk from Patrick Vandervelden cut the margin to just, 32. Dinos lay another smackdown on the Spartans without us even showing you any of their baskets. Let's head straight to Game 2 between Mount Royal and TRU. Luke Morris made 5 of 8 from the land beyond, scoring a team-high 20 points off the bench. Wolfpack take this one by 19, sweeping both games over the Cougars. Here's the story from the rest of the conference. Winnipeg takes Game 1 over the Vikes by 8, and follow it up with a 13-point win in Game 2. Westmen extend their winning streak to 4 games. Lethbridge get 30 points from Rob Olsen as they take Game 1 over Manitoba by 22. But the Bisons get 21 from A.J. Bassey as the Herd earns the split with an 8-point win. Fraser Valley guard Thaddeus Galvez had not 1 but 2 chances in the dying seconds to tie the game at 80, but he couldn't connect on either as the Griffins slipped past the Cascades by 3 in the first of 2. While in the second tilt, McEwen got 22 from Keith Gerardes as they cruised to a 20-point win. Finally, UBC Okanagan had 4 of its starters score in double figures as the Heat beat UNBC by 18 in the first of 2. While in the second game, Mitch Goodwin scored a game-high 25 points to lead UBCO to a sweep of the T-Wolves. After another 2 wins this past weekend, Thompson Rivers holds strong atop the Explorer Division standings. While Calgary's 8-game winning streak has them now 4 points ahead of UBC in the Pioneer Division. Here's a quick look at the games coming up this week in men's basketball. We'll end off the show with action from women's basketball, where the red-hot Alberta Pandas went into Brandon riding a 4-game winning streak. Pandas trailed by 10 after the first queue, but outscored the Bobcats 24-3 in the second, en route to a 10-point win. Game 2 was all Pandas as they take the second one by 15, sweeping the Cats. Calgary, Trinity Western. Game 1, down by just 31. This 2 by Mariah Perry cut the lead to just 29. just 29. Calgary takes this one by 31. Game 2, third Q. This 3-ball from Jesse Brown gave TWU a 2-point lead, but the Dinos still managed a 13-point win. Mount Royal, Thompson Rivers. TRU won Game 1 by 38. The Wolfpack followed it up with a 19-point win over the Cougars in Game 2. Here's the rest of the story from women's hoops. 4 of Winnipeg's starters scored in double digits as the Westmen's winning streak extended to 3 games with a 10-point win over Victoria. Game 2 saw more of the same from the Westmen as Winnipeg take both from the Vikes. Manitoba Lethbridge. Someone was going to finally win a game this season, and in Game 1 it's the Pronghorns that prevail, picking up win numero uno, topping the Bisons by 10. Game 2, and it's the Herd that break their goose egg with a 9-point win. Kylie Sartori scored a game-high 27 points as the Griffins topped the Cascades by 15 in Game 1. Game 2 saw McEwen spread out the scoring with 5 players scoring in double figures. The Griffins take both from Fraser Valley. UBC Okanagan extended its winning streak to 5 games, sweeping UNBC in both their games over the weekend. The losses grew the Timberwolves' losing streak to 3 games. UBC opened with a 71-69 loss versus visiting Regina. Game 2, though, saw the Cougars continue to bounce forward. McEwen moves into top spot in the Explorer division. Look out for that UBCO 5-game winning streak has the Heat burning up the standings board. Tied now with the Wolfpack for second place. Pioneer Division standings, and it's the top 4 and the rest of the conference. 4.5 games separating 4th place Calgary from 5th place UBC. And here's a look ahead at the weekend's action in women's basketball. That wraps up the second edition of Krown Canada West Countdown U. Now let's get out to the game.